Hi, my name is Victoire or Victoria, and I provide the integration sessions for participants in the retreats at Espiral Retreats. And I am beaming in today to speak to you about integration and what it is. Integration is a natural function of our growth, of our wholesome growth, of our evolution. And often what happens, we have the desire to expand our consciousness and our sense of well-being, and sacred medicine through bufo or huachuma or even ayahuasca can be a beautiful way to help us shift perspectives and identifications that prevent us, perhaps, or slow our sense of deepening and expansion into the well-being that we know is possible. And so these sacred medicines, as they're called here, and it really does correspond to this beautiful potential to open up our minds and our hearts to a greater sense of who we truly are. They can be very intense experiences. They can also be more subtle. And in a sense, they are what can be called a peak experience, where you get a sudden blast of clarity, of beauty, of truth, of goodness, which then it behooves all of us that go through these processes. And these can also happen, by the way, without medicine. The peak experiences, they can happen in moments, intense moments of life, of meditation, or of events such as birth or death or love, of creativity. And regardless of that, it then behooves us to bring this newness of an enriched, expanded perspective into our daily life, what we call our ordinary life, our normal life. And oftentimes we don't know how to do this. And so this is what I teach you. During the retreat, you have one session that is offered as part of the package, one-on-one, and then there's also a group event which is going to involve some movement, because you can't integrate without including the physical body. And this is not about a specific tradition, be it yoga or Tai Chi or other kinds of coded movements. It's more about a spontaneous capacity to feel into your own personal physiological alignment. And so what happens then is that integration is understood not just mentally, but emotionally and physically, as being a form of digestion, where you are actually going to metabolize whatever it is that you wish to integrate into your sense of who you are and of how you create your life. And that also involves releasing what is no longer useful in a coherent way, in an ecological way, sort of like giving it back to the earth, as in composting it, because we can look at all of these processes as part of it's our gardening of ourselves, of our being, as an individual and then as a social being. And it starts with the individual. So it's a very simple process that is basically articulated around the awareness that we have a vertical axis along which are placed these centers that we call the head, the heart, the gut, or if you would, the 7 chakras, which correspond to this mental realm, and then this emotional realm, and then this sensorial realm, and to bring those into an alignment, in other words, into a feeling of harmony, is something that is then going to help us and assist us and be supportive of our incorporating new perspectives that bring us more wisdom, because the more perspectives that we are able to hold within our being, the more wisdom we have at our disposal. It's kind of like an open mind, being able to consider different opinions or viewpoints in a space of inner peace. An open heart, being able to hold the frequencies of different emotions and remain centered in that peaceful and loving, compassionate, self-compassionate capacity to hold those different perspectives. And then at the very deepest level of our guts, of our lowest chakras, all the way down to the perineum, the capacity to breathe and to feel and to know that this is our role here as human beings, to alchemize whatever it is that we choose or that we are given in a way which is going to be conducive to our health, to our wholeness, to our integrity. And that means having a clear sense of when we desire to say yes and when we desire to say no, and of being able to do it in a way which is respectful of ourselves, and then which then is expressed in a way which is going to be conducive to a greater harmony, if that makes sense. So it's really important that you have at least the touchstone of the one session, which is included in the package, and which also involves a simple human presence where I just listen and witness you in whatever it is that you wish to express in the moment. And then to have some a la carte, if you would, pointers as to how to now carry your experience into your life coming forth in the weeks and the months and the years that follow. And this can be sufficient. This can be all that you desire and require. Or, of course, if you wish to have more sessions, you can always do that. You can choose to do that. And then there's going to be the group session with some very simple and fun movements. And I hesitate to call it breath work because it's more about the blissful breath. And it's basically based on heart coherence. Only it's a way that involves more than just the heart. It really does connect the very top of our being to the depths, all the way down to the roots, to the coccyx, and then even the soles of the feet. So our intention, our purpose here at Espiral is that the space that we offer for these transformative experiences is as clear, as coherent, as safe as possible that, it can be on this planet at this time. And that is in service to your freedom, to your sovereignty, to your empowerment, to your joy, your love, and your capacity to take responsibility for your life, because that's really where our freedom comes from. It's this capacity to take ownership and creatorship of our experiences and of how we respond to them, and how our responses then feed forward into creating new experiences that are going to be more and more reflective of whatever it is that makes our hearts sing. So if any of this resonates with you, if you wish to find out more, reach out. The links are provided below. We have a preliminary conversation, which I am delighted to be hosting with the persons who wish to come on the retreats, just to make sure that it's a good fit. There's an intake form, and then we take it from there. But whether or not you do this, know that the work of integration is one which is yours to use in your daily life as a human being and becoming, in order to keep evolving. It's a natural process, and the more clarity you have on how that process can be facilitated, the better. And so I hope that even this brief video has given you enough of a sense that you can, through your very present breath, open yourself up to this magic and this beautiful power that is within you, and that seeks this wholeness and this coherency and this harmony. Thank you so much for joining me today, and I look very much forward, as we all do here at Espiral, to hearing from you. Bye-bye.